and now Trade Comics, is proud to present a look back at the comic book industry in 1997, the 1990s. The 1990s. Currently, the comic industry is in a state of flux. When the baseball card industry collapsed in the early 90s, all of the previous card dealers moved into comics. They began frantic buying to hopes of catching on to a budding new collective market. The market began to grow until the end part of 1994, which was almost marked the end. To meet all of the orders and demands, comic publishers had been increasing their products lines constantly and quickly. All comic companies then increased their product mix and circulation by 200 to 700% as new companies began to spring up overnight. Unfortunately, retailers realized that while their products were increasing, buying had not been. The market was flooded and prices began a sharp decline. Dealers were left with thousands upon thousands of books they could not sell and thousands in debts to distributors. When all was said and done, the market and industry contracted to half of what it was before the early 90s. This hurt the individual companies differently. Marvel was in the process of combining mass vertical and horizontal integration before and as the market collapsed. Marvel, under new owners, specifically marketed to these new spectator with high-priced enhanced comics. When the comic stores started to fold, Marvel started to fold. Hundreds of millions had been invested into assorted projects and income had been reduced to early 1980s levels. Marvel tried to create new fan fury with new hard-hitting storylines involving flagship characters such as Spider-Man and the X-Men. It backfired. Readers hated the new storyline, especially the one dealing with the replacement of Spider-Man. The Spider title's circulation dropped like a brick. Before Spider-Man had 8 monthly titles at an average of 400,000 copies produced, and after the storyline, the Spider line fell to 4 titles at roughly 200,000. Marvel also relaunched its core heroes, Fantastic Four, Avengers, Iron Man and Captain America in a separate universe outside of the regular Marvel universe by creators outside the company, Image Comics. While circulation increased at first, it plummeted and Marvel faced backlash from hardcore fans. Marvel could not pay off its creators. They had bought card companies, comic companies and their own distributor, and now would all have to been folded into the company. Nothing was ever produced and millions went down the drain. Marvel filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in December of 1996. As of today, Marvel still published a stripped but increasing comic line. Financial good news is still pending. However, DC made out like a bandit after the crash. Due to DC's parent relationship with Time Warner, the 1989 blockbuster, Batman helped fuel the interest in DC Comics. During this time Marvel controlled 60% of the market to DC's low teens. As the spectator buying increased, DC focused on gimmicks as Marvel did but had more favorable stories attached to them. No story had a bigger marketing gimmick than the death of Superman. The media ate the story up and DC kept on centering the attention on them and their heroes. Superman was brought back as 4 individuals and then finally returned for real as the original icon. Batman had been crippled and replaced until he returned to take back his cowl. Green Lantern turned into a villain and was replaced with the heroic Green Lantern. Wonder Woman was replaced, her replacement killed and the original brought back. Then finally Superman married Lois Lane after 58 years of courtship and had his powers and costume changed. All of this had positive media attention and circulation on all of these books more than doubled. This increase in business and Marvel's decrease helped lower the gap between them. Currently Marvel and DC are at a 35 to 27 split of the market respectively.